Hi everyone, welcome to IC Arts, the channel for artists and illustrators. I'm Irina, and this is video part 2 of the series where I am creating a character that is a pumpkin witch. I also have a background for it, but it is not necessary for this tutorial. In this video, we are coloring this illustration, and in part 1, I was doing the sketch. So you could use this video tutorial and use the same tips I use for coloring any other illustration. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. So now let's get to coloring. I really want to show you. Sometimes I use coloradobe.com just to keep me going. You could you could create, explore, learn about different trends, but you could just put anything here, say for example Halloween, and it's going to give you so many different color palettes that at some point I think really would sparkle your imagination if you're like sitting there and you maybe don't know what colors to use, or you want to use something unusual. And for the sake of this video, right, to show you, you could just save it, or you could just do a screenshot. And what I do, I usually do a screenshot, and I liked these two color palettes. What I usually do, I would go to palettes and I will create a new color palette. We could give it a name, but what I love to do is delete the swatch. So I would go and just put all the colors here. And for me, this way, I won't really need to go back and forth. And I usually, if say these colors are from the same family, I would put them close. And like, I believe this one is the same, but maybe a little darker. Yes, I would put them here. So far, this would be my colors that I really like. And then of course in the process I could add things to it, and here we could just go to palettes and maybe just name which pumpkin. It helps me sometimes because if I need to go back to some work, say portfolio, I like colors, and then the parrot I was doing and many others, the stickers, the mushrooms, it's easy for me to just go back to that color palette and I don't need to invent a bicycle all over again. Okay, so one thing we know for sure is that my ghosts are supposed to be white or maybe like bluish or something. So for that purpose, I would say that the background color for my illustration is supposed to be dark. So we don't know how dark yet, and since we only work on the characters here, so I'm going to make it like this dark. We could always change it in the process, and I would just work on a few color combinations. So I want my pumpkin obviously to be orange, maybe just a little bit more like brighter here, and I would just go ahead and with a regular studio pen or whatever actually pen you want to use, I would just block in the colors real fast to see how my characters would look with these colors. Now, another thing we need to do for our sketch is obviously put it on top. And since we're drawing in such darkness, we'd put it in the multiply mode, and then we will continue with our colors. After some experimentation, I decided that these would be my final colors, and I decided not to go green here, make it sort of like it all belongs to her dress. So far, I like it. Sometimes I might twist and tweak things in the process, but what I will do right now is basically very simple thing. I would merge all the layers that are my colors, and I would flatten them. It's easy this way because I could always have it like a reference here anytime I need it. And now my process would be actually very simple. So again, we have our sketch that is in multiply mode, and even though sometimes we work on the white background, a lot of illustrators turn the background darker. This way, it's easier to see things like that always happen, the most ever annoying ones when you have like a, where is it? When you have like a dot here and then you don't see it on the white background, but here you do. And I will share with you one of my favorite options. In your preferences, you will have gesture controls. In the layer select here, in your gesture controls, if you choose this option, Apple Pencil while holding the square will invoke the layer select. Okay, we are already this layer. So for example, I'm going to choose this layer and then I'm going to press here and do this. And then what we'll see, it's going to find this layer. And very often it will even show what number this layer is in. So it is very convenient and one of my favorite things. And then this is what we're going to do. Now, the next thing I would typically normally decide is whether I want my illustration to be smooth. So for this, you could use any smooth brush. So you will have a very smooth edges. And some people love to, instead of just coloring it in, filling it in with color, which is very fast this way. It depends on your style and preference, but sometimes I love to have my illustrations textured, and depending on the brush that I'm using, I would have different texture in the end. So I really have a lot of them. This one is one of my favorites. And with a lot of my brushes, you could also fill them in, but you need to know that when you're filling up a brush like this, it actually serves the purpose because you will still have the textured edge, but you will have a complete filled sort of middle ground because a lot of people get annoyed by things getting, like, you know, some spots missed. So it again depends entirely on your style. If you want to check out all my brushes, you could do that in the description. You can do that in the description link down below. And you know, I mean, you could use so many different brushes, so many different options, and it will have different effect. And if you are into children's book illustration, you always know that natural materials are so very welcome. So what I will do right now is I would go through all my elements, and I'll see you right after I'm done. After a lot of trials, I decided that this would be my final colors for the illustration. And again, if I'm going to use this layer, then I would go ahead and make a new layer, color everything black, and choose the hue mode here. This mode right away will tell me how our eye sees everything, because our eyes, they don't see as much as colors, but hues. I will see that everything here looks absolutely fine. Every single element could be easily distinguished from one from another. But if you have a background, and I will have a background for this illustration, I'm going to show you real fast right now. So this would be the background for this illustration. And I think I'm going to have more ghosts in the back as well. So if we take a look here, we could still see that we could see her face, we can see her dress, we can see every single element, and her hat is also a different, maybe not that dramatic change, maybe not that dramatic difference, but it is still different from the other colors. And obviously we could adjust it in the process. And what I'm going to do, and what I usually do, I go and I color each of the elements separately, just apply the color, and then I start adding the details. So obviously, let's start with her face, and we will start by making her cute and pretty eyes. So we just follow the sketch along. Let me see, I'm going to use a regular studio pen. I am not really aiming for any texture in the beginning, and honestly, especially when I illustrate the books, I think it's one of my favorite ways to work, simply because it is fast, is when you apply the color with regular brush, smooth brush, and then you add as many textures as you want onto it. So I find it really, really fast, especially if you need to do a lot, and it is part of my style. Sometimes I could be a little more textured, sometimes not, but mostly this is how I would draw the book. This is how my hand sort of start drawing the book. What I see here right now is that I would probably need to move it a little, and if you didn't know, you could tap your finger and the elements would be moved. It is especially convenient when you just need to move it a tiny bit. and it's harder to do it with a pencil or a hand. Okay, so the color of her eyes, I'm not sure. Let's see. I think I want to go with this dark, the dark variation of this color. Let's go and see. So I would draw the eyes. So first of all, I have a clipping mask here, but for some reason I put a clipping mask here, which is wrong. So now we remove the clipping mask from here, and I will do the ovals like this. Okay, perfect. And this is going to be one oval. I'm thinking I'm going to just copy and paste the eyes at this point, but I also see that I probably want to make it more round in the end. Yeah, like that. I love it. And perhaps we could go lighter with this color. You know why? Because I will be making, it's better, I will be making the pupil darker. So I'm going to do another clipping mask, and here I will choose a darker color, and I will make another oval inside of her iris. Yep, sometimes brushes do these things. You could adjust it in settings, but I'm too lazy, so I'll just go with it. All right, and I will show you how I normally work on my eyes. It's pretty much always the same way. I would just click alpha lock here, and I would pick the color that is darker than this color but not as dark as this, so just something in the middle. Then I would choose a soft brush. There is an original soft brush in Procreate, as well as the Studio Pen, or it's called Monoline, so you could easily use those. And with the soft brush, I could, like, normally you would apply it on top because this is where the shadow would fall. Sometimes I could do it at the bottom, basically just play with it and see what you like best. So this would be like medium color, then I would go a little darker and apply it on top even more. So this way we have this kind of cute gradient in her eye, and I would also pick the color that is lighter than this color, and I would apply it on the bottom. See? So this is how most likely I would draw my eyes. And then with a very light color, I would draw another oval just behind this eye to distinguish everything even more. Another great tip I can share with you, if you're working on the book, for example, and you know that you're using, hello, no, it's not time to eat yet. No, it's not. Okay, so for example, every single set of brushes, there's just a lot of brushes, and it might take you a long time just to look for the one you are using. I decided to do, for example, here, I have picked all the brushes that I would be using for the work, and these are only 4. Of course, I could go ahead and like do some decorative brushes or something, or some else for the shadow, but the point is, having this set will only guide you. Having this set, you will only need to come back here and have 4 brushes here. It's going to speed your work so much, speed up your work. Okay, so see, I definitely like this. And sometimes I could even go a little darker and do the same alpha look here with the soft, with the soft brush, and I could add same gradient in her pupils like this. So, but sometimes I don't do it. And also I would apply the light with white and regular Studio Pen. So she's looking at the house or at the ghosts, so it will be just a simple oval here. And also in illustrations, when you probably don't have a background or a decent source of light source, you could still add those eye blicks, because I think they make for a cuter look. And although when sending your work to different agencies, so some agents don't like that in children's illustration, but some do. They say actually make the illustration look cuter. So now what I'm going to do, since it's the same, very same, I'm going to group it. I'm going to duplicate it. One of them I would flatten, so I don't need to make any changes. And so actually, wait, here you go. So I'm going to put it here. I'm I'm going to get rid of this one, clipping mask, and then I will duplicate it, another clipping mask, it's already there, and then I will put my eye right here. When I work on the illustration for a client, I try to leave as many layers untouched as possible. It's going to be faster for me to do edits this way. Okay, so we're done with the eyes. Not completely done though. What we need to do is make another clipping mask here. Usually I choose the black color, and we would need to apply sort of like the top of our eyes. And this step I would do with the clipping mask, and I love to use the brush with a sharp edge, because you see, if it wasn't a sharp edge, it would just end up like this, and then you would have to erase it. Okay, so, and the same thing I'll do here to make them somewhat similar. Yep. Sometimes I would also do another line at the bottom. What happened? My line disappeared at the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, I think in this case I'll leave it in. And okay, another thing I forgot to mention, I also do with the eyes, but let's first do the eyelashes. The same way, I love to use this brush because it's pointy in the end. It's very convenient to draw eyelashes with it. You could just do 1 and 2. The eyelashes are not clipping mask because they go on top of her eye. And if you don't like that it's too pointy, you could also just erase probably some of it, or like shape them to however you want them to be. So I'm pretty happy with this type of lashes. Now you could of course sometimes copy and paste it on another side, but in this case we can't do that, see, because our eye is at a different angle, and if I work for a client I would not do this, because this would be completely not crispy even if I apply all the cubic or whatever edits they suggest. So I would just have to draw this again. So just make sure somewhere here and then somewhere here, we just need to make even eyelashes. Just going to be, the problem is I'm not for some reason following my sketch very much. That's why. So yep, this could work. We could make it just a tiny bit longer. Let's say like this. And here we're fine, maybe not that sharp of the edge. Right, okay, so these would be the eyelashes. And one thing I usually do is, so we could make it on one layer here, not even here, actually here. On top of the eyes, I would pick a very, very light gray color, and with the soft brush I could also apply a shadow like this, which later on then I could just reduce the opacity. So you might say it's not a lot, but it is actually adding a little bit of a shadow, and if you want, depending on your style, you can even leave more of it. You could use Gaussian blur or basically just experiment. Also, sometimes I would go ahead and add like some other decorations in the eyes, like something like this. Or maybe I'll go with it, yes, or maybe not. So basically, you just go with the flow, whenever it sort of takes me. This could be some sort of another reflection in her eye. Okay, so we're done with the eyes, finally, yay. Now, let's move to the pumpkin itself. And here where I have the eyes, I could definitely make these two together, and not going to change her eyelashes. So I usually always name all the groups and layers. It's also a very good habit when you are working with clients, because you need to give these files very often in PSD form, and it's very convenient for designers who later on work with it to have your files named. So I need to make those creases in the pumpkin, and they are usually darker color because this is somewhat like a shadow. And I think I want to go maybe a little bit more reddish, a little bit brighter. Let's see how it's going to look. And perhaps for this, I might go with 6B pencil. I might go with Let's see, let's take a look at my pencil here. Okay, so I love the pencil. I don't like the color because I think it needs to be darker. For this purpose also, you can always go to a multiply mode. Sometimes I don't like using it because it's then harder for me to flatten the layers, but if you use multiply mode, 99% you will need to reduce its opacity. Okay, so I think I like this. I'll just make it a little bit not that thick, and we'll just follow all the lines that I worked on so hard in my sketch. So right now what I would do, I would add the eyebrows, and they would be like probably very dark color, but I'll just try to make it like brown red dish. And on top of this, I will apply the eyebrows. So see, I could add texture brushes for the details. Just it's important if you are working on the book, because all your characters is supposed to look exactly the same, is to memorize the steps and the colors you use. For this purpose, again, I could always use, like here I was working on the character, and these are all the colors I used on her, including the shadow, because sometimes, for example, here in the eyes, we don't even see the original color of her eyes anymore because I applied so many shadows on top. So it's always a great idea to save that color. All this will make your work look exactly the same, and again, good and professional. Okay, so we're done with the eyebrows. I definitely took my time, and right away I'm gonna apply some shadow. I will click Alpha Lock, and with the soft brush, I will, which is not that huge, I will just apply a little bit of shadow at the bottom. Maybe a little bit on top too, so just make it more like this. Okay, perfect. Now, I love adding the blush, but I'm going to add it in the end. Right now, what I'm going to do, I would add the mouth, perhaps even on the very same layer as here. Let me try and see how this pink color will look. I don't really think I want to go with red for her eyes. So, but it's might not be visible very well, so let's just give it a try. I always, most likely, draw the lips, the eye, the mouth the same way. Okay, I think it's too purple, and if we right now take a look at this layer, it's not very well distinguished, and it's the same hue as the lines. I don't want it to be like that, so let's just go ahead and try if we could revive this color by maybe making it this color. Let's see, do we like it? No, let's try to go with maybe either darker color for this. Yes, see, much better. And right now, if I put this in, we could really see her colors greatly, because all the face features is supposed to be very well sort of visible, right? Is that a good word to use? So, okay, I might just make it a tiny bit thicker, just a tiny bit thicker. Okay, and then I would again do all the time, like just pick a darker color for the inside her mouth, which is basically this. Whoops, wasn't careful enough. So I'll just fill this in and fix the edges here. And then on top of this layer, I'll usually choose the white color, and that would be for teeth. Don't worry, we will erase that. And see here, we see I didn't do a good job at coloring. Okay. Where is my sketch? Okay, here you go. Always remember that if you want to pick the color with the sketch on top, on the bottom, it's going to be a little different. So, yeah, learned the hard way. Are we good everywhere else? Yes. So, and then with a very light pink color, I would apply probably on the same layer here. I would draw her tongue like this. Okay, so let's get add a little shadow here. Just do Alpha Lock, and with the soft, where is the soft brush, I would add a little bit in here. I like my soft brush large size. Okay. I don't like that. I think it's too dark. Let's go back, make it a little bit brighter, make the brush a little bit, okay, this is better for me. And then we could do the same thing with the tongue, just pick a little bit darker color. We could off lock here and just apply a little bit here, like that. Okay, perfect. Now let's apply the shadow to the pumpkin itself. So here we don't have anything. For now, let's just, I usually call this layer, we could do brows and mouth, but we could also put details, face details. Okay, here, obviously on the bottom of these, I would now get rid of the sketch so I could better see what's happening. I would need to pick again, maybe go a little reddish, a little darker, and let's just see what type of shadow we are going to apply. So, yeah, I like the shadow. So obviously we have a shadow under the hat. Okay. Not very convinced. Okay, here we have a shadow. Usually, even if I use a textured brush, I always like to go under with a soft brush. I think soft brush is like the best if you want to have the most real volume here. Like here, let's just add a little more. Okay, so now let's try just under it with the color that could be slightly lighter with the soft brush. Let's see if I could add, smooth it out like this. Okay, I like it better. Same thing we could do obviously under her nose, and I also like to add a little bit, not like an eyeshadow, but some shadow behind the eyes. I think it makes the eyes pop even more. Okay, so what next thing we need to do, again I'm debating here, but let's see, we are supposed to somehow make the lines look like the lines on a pumpkin. So we would need to apply a shadow behind each of this line. The shadow needs to be probably darker than all of them. Let's just make it small, and with the soft brush, let's just see how it's gonna look if I apply it. So what do you say? See, like it definitely makes it more, gives it more of a pumpkin look. Let's see, we're experimenting here. We will need to apply light right now to see if it works or not. And the light is obviously going to go to these sections in between. So I'm going to pick the pumpkin color and make it lighter, but I don't like it. I think it looks a little dirty. So probably orange and yellow, not my most favorite colors to work with for some reason. I don't know, let's see. And on the bottom here, let's just see, whoops, just make it bigger. Let's just see if I can apply light like this. I will, I think I'm going to use a Gaussian blur for it. So let's see, let's make it really big here. Warm. Okay, so basically coming along. Let's see if we could do better with the Gaussian blur. Yes, definitely smooth it out. Also, these, I could probably use a Gaussian blur too. Yes, definitely. Just a little bit, because too much of it would just get rid of the Gaussian blur. And what I'm seeing right now is that I think I want the color of my pumpkin to be a little bit more saturated this way. Not brighter, but perhaps even darker and saturated. And I just changed the base color, and all the other colors sort of like adjusted itself. Now I would do, for now, see, we don't really have big of a difference with this texture, so let's leave it alone and go to a darker color and try to apply some real shadows right now. Really darker shadow here. Not that big. Okay. I just don't like it. The color looks a little dirty. Okay, so I will Oops, where did I go? I will make it a little bit more saturated and a little bit darker. Pick the lightest color, so let's just go to the disc, which is going to be easier for me. I will pick the most orange color, right? Most orange color. And here, right now, when I'm come back to classic, I'll choose the lightest one. And I will try to apply some details right next to even very bright, very, very bright. Right next to these lines, I want to apply some white lines. Hide them a little behind. There's so many ways you could draw a pumpkin, obviously. I'm not going for any realistic style. I try to make it very stylized in coloring, so to say. But of course, it's easy to see anyway that it's a pumpkin. And here we could just add a little bit of light to the nose. Okay, so let's get back to the sketch and maybe make the sketch a little bit more visible. And with the clipping mask, I would apply all the elements. So as I remember, I wanted to do the belt brighter, and this is what I'm going to do. And then the P, I wanted to do even darker. So again, this is what I want to do. Let's just see how it looks together. We will need to apply shadow to this already dark hat. So we'll see how that would come along. I want to add this circles in brighter color. And also, if you notice, I have all my circles different sizes. Makes it for a good rhythm. Probably will add a few like that. And here, I would also add the same color. Let's see. Maybe I would go for a darker one later, but for now, okay, I like it. Also, here I might go with the textured brush or something and make it just a little bit darker. And there are creases on the hat that I want to be visible. Something like this. Okay, now I would go ahead and pick the very, very dark one. Let's see if this could be the one. Yes, and I will work on the P letter. And then I'll just color it in. Okay, so far I like it. And now I would be applying, also I think with the same dark color, I need to distinguish that this is the top of it, of her hat, and that is the bottom. So basically, I am in clipping mask, so I'll just follow this line here, like this. Then we'll get rid of the sketch so it's easier for us to work at it. And we will need to apply the shadow to this layer, not this crazy dark, of course. Let's pick the original color. Go a little darker with the soft brush again. I would just go ahead and make this darker because it's the bottom of her hat. Perfect. And then I will need to make sure that, see the shadow here, basically all the edges of her head under the belt, of course, here, here, and perhaps even here too. I will get rid of the sketch in a second because it's easier to see how it really looks like. So don't forget to get rid of the, so here just, it's a little too much. I could use a smudge tool with the same brush to move it a little bit. I know a lot of artists use smudge tool a lot, and for some reason I don't. You can't use it all, right? It's very good to make it a little darker here because we will have a spider web. We would need to have some contrast. Also, I like to make my shadow like round here instead of just pointy angles like this. Okay. So let me pick, I don't want it to be, again, very white, probably very light purple I will do. And let's just try and draw the spider web. I know we have a white background, so it's harder for us to see where the spider is falling. We will turn the background on. It's easier for us to see. Obviously, if you have a background for your illustration, you should work on having that background on, but because this video is just about the character, I don't have it on at all times. Okay, I say that I didn't do a very good job here. Not very even, so I'll just even it out, erasing a little bit. And we could do, I honestly think I want to do the spider with this very same color. Reason being, my background is very black, and I think if I do a black spider, I wouldn't really see him much. But let's give it a try. Where is my spider web here? So let's just go ahead and try. Oh, actually, I could see him because I think at some point. So, okay. Can you see? You could see the spider web very well. Other option would be to make a spider very bright and make his eyes dark. Perhaps we could try that right now. Let's see if that will work. So this would be our bright spider. Not as bright though, for some reason. Oh, come on. There you go. So the bright spider and then the eyes would be dark. Let's just see which version we would love better on this background. I think this version is better. This for now. Okay, all right, but this for now. Now let's work on the spider web, which is located on the top of the hat, right here. And I think for this one, I think I'll do a clipping. Oh, nope. For this one, I'll just put it here. No, I can't put it here. Yes, I can put it here. Because that one was going sort of down, and here I would like it to follow the hat pretty well. I'll explain in a second what I'm talking about. It's just that spider web couldn't be a clipping mask because it's falling off the hat, and if I do have a clipping mask on, it won't let it happen. And here I want the spider web to be completely following the hat, but the spider will later on be falling off of it. So I will do that without a clipping mask. Oops. Actually, every time I draw and then I turn the sketch off, I really love that moment because it shows very, very well what you have done so far. Yep. Okay. So let me go back to this layer. And here I'll just draw whatever I already had here on sketch. No. Oops. Okay, so we just need to make sure that here I'm not touching anything on top of the hat. Okay, and now with the same one, so we have like a little bit of tingling here. I'm gonna go here, and here actually I think because we are on the lighter background, I could use my black spider in here. Let's see. Yes, this way it's actually cool because we have two different spiders on her hat. I think that's kind of good, right? Some variety. Okay, so what we didn't do is we didn't apply any light to the hat, and we absolutely cannot do that. So I'm going to use another soft brush, and I would just apply it like this, basically on all the areas that would receive the light from the moon. What I also love to do is I would get the lightest color for this pencil, for example, and then whenever we have this borders, I would go down and add a line there too. I think it distinguishes everything even better. And if you noticed, I do love to add this white lines behind the black lines. Yeah, I like it. And if we want to add any texture, perhaps maybe some noise to the hat, we could also do that. Yes, you do it really, really bright, like this. I believe that this noise brushes, they kind of always add to the magic look of the illustration. I don't know, like some sparkles. Right. And like here. It's a pressure sensitive brush, so I could really adjust the amount of sparkles with the way I push on it. Okay, so I think we're done with the hat. I just don't like that we lost that shadow here, so I'm going to add it back with the same brush. Actually, the shadows are always like this. You come back, you see where you need to add more light or shadow, but of course, depending on your style. What I don't think, might try this. I don't know that I don't have anything on this part of my hat. So let me go back and try to add the lines here. What do you say? Yeah, I think I like it better now. Okay, so we're done with the hat. Now let's get back to the sketch and work on her dress. So we didn't use too many layers for her hat. Okay, oh, okay. Where we have hat I or hat 1. Let's go to the dress, do another clipping mask, and here again we have a variation to do a multiply tool, reduce the opacity, and we will work on these lines. I think we could even get back some of that opacity and work on these lines on the sleeves. But I think I want the buttons to be a darker color, perhaps this color. She only has 2 buttons. It's a tiny dress. Now let's add the shadow to the dress. I'll do it with another soft brush, not that big. So I'll add the shadow under the collar, a little bit at the tips of her sleeves. So not too much, but you know what I'm thinking? I don't like that it's just like so bold here. I think I want to follow these curved lines here. Okay. Same here. Just give it a little more. Just give it a little more, basically. Okay, here too. Okay. So now the dress is pretty bright already, so I don't think I would be adding any light to it, and perhaps I make this a little bit darker. But if we think about it, I could perhaps go with a very light one, and maybe just maybe we could add a little bit of this here and there. Yep, we're done with the dress. Now let's work on this situation, which is we could actually, this is also could be one layer because they don't touch each other. And here I would do a clipping mask, and I want to, what I really want to do, I'll show you, I want to go darker than it is, and just regular pencil, I want to follow, this looks like flower petals to me. Well, since it's a pumpkin, right, having some, or a lot of elements of a plant, sounds like a good idea. What I see now is I would love to add the same color on the sleeves right here. I think it's good because we have the same color of her buttons. Let's go back to this layer. I would love to draw the leaves. Okay, another thing we see here is that the leaves touch each other, and we need to show that, say, this one goes behind this one, so it's like in the back. Now under this layer with the soft brush we will add the shadow. Let's it wouldn't be that dark, of course, but like here. And I also want to add the shadow at the tips of this petal, so to say. We can even get rid of the sketch for this purpose. It's going to be easier for us to see where we're applying this shadow. We can make it darker later on if we feel like we need to. And here too, same story, like that. Let's see if we want to make it darker. So let's choose the brightness and try to make it darker. And I think we do want it darker. Now under this layer, I do not want to get rid of the shadow. I want to put light perhaps under this layer. And let's see how it's going to be. Let's make it really bright. So we just sort of do a couple of touch-ups here and there. Here you go. We have our shadow. Here we could even go a little bit full force like this. See, we almost done with her. We just need to do her legs, which let's get back to the sketch and let's also cover this up. We have a dress. And her legs are pretty simple, and the arms. I would do a clipping mask because originally we're supposed to make them darker. So just, she reminds me of a Peppy girl from a book. I will go with, no, I think I'm gonna go textured. Let's try. And I'm not sure I love the color I picked, but I think that's the only one that I can go with if I want to make darker orange. I don't like when these lines touch the flowers. So what I think I'll do is let's get rid of the sketch, and it will look like my first line will start here, so it touches it just a little bit, and then I will have my second line here and the third line perhaps here. Let's see if we like how it looks like. Perhaps this one could go a little upper for this purpose. Okay, same here. I would start my line here so it doesn't touch the flowers because they don't really look, the leaves. Second here, and the last one here. So I have 3 each. They don't need to be identical. They don't need to be twins, could be sisters, okay? And still I would add a little bit of shadow here. So let's just, again, go a little darker, not too much. And with the soft brush, I would add, and you see, I don't like this. Let's add a little red and see if it looks better. It looks much better. I could perhaps do it darker. Let's just, obviously darker here where it touches the boots. Okay, and if I make it really dark, let's see. I like it. I don't know if I want to do any light in there, but let's try. Just a tiny bit, like that. No. I mean, we have to add the light because she has the light in her sort of face. So we have to follow the same protocol, so to say. Now, if I'm talking about, if I'm going to do her arms, what do we need to add there? First of all, here she has her fingers that we need to see. So we would need to add that as well. Could be the same layer. And we'll just need to follow the sketch. And make sure we see each of the fingers separately. So she has 4. So, and here, here we could just trace them a little bit too. So they match, because otherwise we'll have one hand with traced fingers and the other one without. Here, honestly, I am not sure I want to add any shadows. I think it looks good as it is. But maybe, let's just try. Add a little shadow. Where is the layer with the shadows? Let me use the soft brush a little bit. What happened? What happened to the color? Yeah, we definitely need a shadow here where her hand touches the dress, perhaps a little bit on the fingers, but I wouldn't do more than that. Now I see that I forgot to apply I forgot to apply the blush, and I've even forgot what color blush we picked. So this was the color, and on top of, we could do it in details. I think it's a perfect layer to do it. We could do the blush, basically either we can make it textured, or I'll show you 2 variations. We can make it textured like this. Let's get rid of the sketch and see how it looks in real life. I think it looks good.
Or we could make a new layer and pick the soft brush and let's say I could make one here, one here. Yes, we could leave it like that, but if you want to make a blush being more like natural look, we could do this. But for the purpose of my pumpkin, because it's not a real face, I think having my blush textured is the best idea. The only thing I see is that right now this blush is a little bit more round than this. Let's just change this real fast. Okay, so perfect, good we remembered. Now we only have to do the boots and the bucket. I already have the bucket here. Let's just do a clipping mask. What we'll need to do is, first of all, we need to have the edges for the bucket because let's go back to the sketch. The edges for the bucket. This, and we also have the inside of the bucket that would be a darker color. So I believe this would be the color I would use on the thing, and this is the color that would be darker, okay? And oh, something happened in here. And the inside the pocket, I would use this color, which is gonna go under, and I could even use a soft brush for it. It's gonna go like this. And right away, I could use this soft brush also to apply shadow. It's just a bucket. We don't need to go crazy with a lot of details here. I think this still needs to be a little darker. Obviously some shadow where she's holding the bucket like this. Okay, and we have the candy here, which is a classic Halloween candy. If I remember correctly, it goes as yellow, orange, and white. So I'll just do them in white at first with a smooth brush like this. And then we'll apply yellow and orange. And so you don't have to see all this. I'll be right back when I'm done. Okay, so my candy is done. And we just have to do her boots, which is super easy. We'll just get a darker color again, find her boots, and then with the clipping mask, we will choose whatever we want here. Maybe just a regular brush. I want to apply this decoration. I might not even want to fill it in. I don't know. We'll see. And here, yep, I want the boots to be super easy. We could maybe add, like I was thinking right now, some bows on top of it and have some yellow color, but I'm not sure. Let's just see how it's gonna look in theory. I think it's gonna make her look good. If it's the holiday, it's probably a little too much, so I think I love the idea, but I would rather make them with the colors that she already has. And this way we're gonna probably even start looking at her from the bottom up. So I love that idea. I'm just gonna duplicate this bow and put it here. I'm gonna turn it, but what I can do is I could just trace all over it again so it doesn't look, what happened? So it doesn't lose the crispy edge. So this is how you could do it if you have like not really important elements. The same thing I could do here, since I love adding the lines that are lighter, is to add a little line on the bottom here. That, okay, and perhaps under here. Just don't understand why I'm not under. Okay, let me go ahead and do this. If you have any questions about perhaps how to work with layers, if you don't have enough, let me know. Or any questions you might have about the workflow or something I'm doing that doesn't make sense to you. Again, I'm not saying that's the only way you guys can do it, but this is just the way that I do it. And it's been really convenient to me to do it this way. So now here, on top of everything, we need to make sure that it's darker inside of her boot, right? Makes sense. And we also would need to add some shadow, since we're adding shadow to all the elements under the bow here and here as well. Nothing too crazy. But since we added the same shadow on the boot, I think we could go darker and add even darker shadow here. Okay. And we can add the light, of course. I'm thinking maybe I would even, maybe I would go and do the shade. Top of that. Is it big enough? Just like this. Actually reminds me of winter boots for some reason. Okay, so, and I could say that the girl is done. The only thing is that is part of the girl is the ghosts. But if you see, the ghosts are not very, very white. I could perhaps choose some cold blue color and try to see how they would look with this color. And let's get rid of the sketch. I also, seems like, need to get rid of the sketch of my background. I'm not done with the background. Okay, this I don't have here, so I will need to finish it up. But for now, okay, when the ghosts are not that white, you see the difference between these two? It actually looks way much better, way better, because now they don't take all the attention to them. So what I would do, I think I'm going to choose perhaps the same color but a little brighter, and I would add the eyes to the ghosts. I remember they were smiling, so we could do eyes like this. Just fill them up. Actually, no, I don't like this brush. I would go with this brush. Maybe not that big. And I would fill it up. And I would copy it so I have exactly the same oval. We don't need to move it very far, just here. And I'm gonna make them smile, like that. Now I have one here, here. I'm not sure I'm gonna add the eyes, you know why? Because there is a bat right behind it. So I have to think it through. I probably need to move the bat somewhere. Oh my god. Yeah, helping me out. Okay, I don't like his smile. And maybe his eyes are too big too. The батюшки. He wants to go outside now. He always wants something. Okay, let me do the eyes for Pavlik. Покойся. So supposedly like that. And I will have to move this bat. Let's see. Let's first even find where I have the bat. Let's use my method, the one I showed you here. You could do this. Doesn't always work. See, and it clicks on the layer of all the bats, and I could move the bat perhaps here, and I love it better. You know why? Because it now means that they are sort of like in a circle motion, and obviously this bat here doesn't make sense as well now. So what do you say? Perhaps I could even move this bat so they're not really circling only around the moon here. And all I need to do is finish working on my background. But here, she would be saying something like trick or treat. Let's see. I don't know which pencil we can choose. The 6B pencil, I really love it. So let's just go up here and write down the best we can. Trick. Actually, it's going to be cool if, you know, you could use like some Halloween font or use it as the base for your own font. And I don't know where that sketch part is. We remember we had a spider here. gonna do the eyes for him. Little dots. Okay, so trick or treat. This is our finalized illustration. So again, I'm going to get rid of the background since this is not what we planned to do. So basically, this is what I've done. We could see it very well. I could just go to the background color and adjust it like this. And you see what I found out? Because one of my ghosts was behind one of the objects, I didn't see this. Also, the last tip perhaps for this video is that every time you work on the work for your client, always color all the objects behind other objects, because again, later on, the designers or whoever, they might decide to move things, especially if it's a book agency, and if you have empty spots or situations like this, this is not good and doesn't look professional as well. Okay, so this is the illustration, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. I would be very happy to answer any of them. And just for the sake of her being on some ground, I will add something like that.
I hope you guys like this video series. If you want to watch part 1, go ahead and do that. In that video, I am sharing everything I know and everything I normally use when I'm creating a character. You could also download the guide on my website. It's free and it has the character design sort of brief that you could use anytime you create a character or get a brief from your client. It is very convenient to see everything in one page and not to lose any detail possible when you are working on your character. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, put the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you later. Bye. Keep creating.